So I want to thank you again for being here, and we really appreciate that in your time. And I would love it if you could intro into your story, what led you here, and then I'd love to talk about your books and what those are about.
Cynthia, I was actually sexually abused from the age of 7 until I was 17 years old. And a lot of the people that are abused, it's somebody that is known to them, which mine was. It was my stepfather. And I thought he was my real father, but in fact, he was not. He was my stepfather. And I didn't find that out until I was 17 years old. So going through life and him, the gift giving, the grooming, all the things, the I love yous that I wasn't getting by my mother, but I was getting them from him. So of course, you trust this person, you love this person, you want to please this person. So you want to do whatever you can, whatever they ask of you. So finding out that he was, in fact, not my real father when I was 17, that's when I got angry about it. And I'm like, well, who is my real father?
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Cynthia Modders, and this is the ArmyPink podcast. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the ArmyPink brand, it is a brand that is all about gathering real life experiences that foster strength, empowerment, and awareness. And it's really shining a light on abuse. So for those who have been in various abusive relationships, whether it's sexual or physical or mental, we have various guests come join us, and they talk about their experience in hopes that our audience can gather knowledge and takeaways and learn from that. Our brand started with a peace pendant here that you can see here. And for every one of these sold, we donate $1 to Peace Over Violence, and that helps fund transportation for someone to escape an abusive relationship. And that's actually one of the hardest things to do, is leave that relationship. So that's our mission. We're going to build the brand into more lifestyle products and things like that. So look forward to that. Click and subscribe to our channel, please. But today I want to introduce our very special guest, and her name is Kathy Picard. And Kathy is going to share her own story and what led her on a mission to accomplish many great things. I mean, I was digging into your background, Kathy, and wow, you're an award-winning author. You're an inspirational speaker. The 2 books that you've written, I Love You So Much, that, and My Life with My Idiot Family, which I can't wait to learn about what that's going to be about. I know it's a true survival of courage and justice over childhood sexual abuse. But you also sit on a board of directors of, I think it's the Chicopee Child Development Center. I hope I got that right.
Yep, absolutely that. And I'm also part of BHN Behavioral Health Network, certified crisis intervention team. So I'm part of that, where we go out and we educate our police officers. So I'm proud to be on that as well.
Wow, fantastic. And you've been doing this for what, 20 years as an advocacy for sexual abuse prevention?
Yeah, about 23 years now.
Yeah, and did I read that you also were instrumental in changing a statute law in Massachusetts?
Yep. So there's actually the criminal and there's the civil statute of limitations, and both of those were extended to help survivors. And in 2006, that's when the criminal statute of limitations was changed here in Massachusetts, giving a survivor to the age of 43 years old to go forward. And I was too old to do that particular one, believe it or not. But the civil statute of limitations changed on June 26, 2014. And that was a huge jump. That was giving a survivor from the age of 21 to the current, as it stands, to the age of 53 years old to go forward, to have their day in court, to get the justice that they deserve.
And that is so fantastic because, and I didn't know this until I started reading some of the research you wrote, but from the time someone is abused, which is, I guess, an average of 12, really for abuse victims, it is incredibly hard to get that out. And in fact, they hold this in, and I didn't know this, for over 20 years or 25 years or something.
Yeah, and it makes sense if you think about it this way, where the survivor actually has to be in a safe place. You have to have somebody in your network, somebody that you trust, that you're going to tell your story to. And then on the twofold, you need that other person to be that person to be able to help you, not to dismiss you. So you need both to make it work for the person to be able to share their story.
Yeah, well, and I think that's so great that you changed that statute because of the fact that there is all this research and it is taking this long. So I want to thank you again for being here. And we really appreciate that in your time. And I would love it if you could intro into your story, what led you here. And then I'd love to talk about your books and what those are about.
Yeah, so I was Cynthia, I was actually sexually abused from the age of 7 until I was 17 years old. And a lot of the people that are abused, it's somebody that is known to them, which mine was. It was my stepfather. And I thought he was my real father, but in fact, he was not. He was my stepfather. And I didn't find that out until I was 17 years old. So going through life and him, the gift giving, the grooming, all the things, the I love yous that I wasn't getting by my mother, but I was getting them from him. So of course, you know, you trust this person, you love this person, you want to please this person. So you want to do whatever you can, whatever they ask of you. And that's what I did. And going through that, the abuse, I mean, I remember situations as if they would happened yesterday. I'm 60 years old and they don't go away, but I've made something of my life. You know, he's not going to stop me from doing what I want to do, my passion. And, you know, so finding out that he was, in fact, not my real father when I was 17, that's when I got angry about it. And I'm like, well, who is my real father? And both my mother and my stepfather said, you're never going to know him. He died, in fact, in the Army. He was in the Army.
Did he in fact die, or was that a story?
No, it was a story.
Oh.
So yeah, it was a story. So they said, you're never going to know him. He died in the service. And that was not the truth. And I did not realize that from 17 until I was 28 years old. That's when I met my bio dad, when I was 28 years old. Oh, so wow. Today we have that relationship where we see each other every day, but they didn't want me to know who he was. And now I get it. They didn't want me to tell my story. So they kept us apart from each other so that I wouldn't disclose that I was being sexually abused.
Yes. But, now, did you tell your mother? I mean, did you?
That's what I was going to lead into. My mother, and this is so common, my mother knew of what was going on. Kathy, go with him to get his liquor, go with him to his cleaning job, go here, go here. And she knew what was happening. You know, when the liquor store is 5 minutes away and you're gone for an hour, what do you think is going on? So she knew all about it. And to this day, she still will not say, well, I knew about it.
Yeah, it's like feeding you to a predator.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is. It is.
Absolutely. And it's so common. And I think I do understand, because women and men, because there are women abusers as well, but they want that relationship. They want somebody in their life, whether it be for stability or whether it be just for money reasons, but they want that person in their life. So they will put that child in harm's way.
Yeah.
And it's not right.
Yeah. I mean, you would think like a motherly instinct is to protect at all costs. But I think that some women, you're right, like they're maybe afraid of their stability or lack thereof. And how are they going to survive without a man? And they need the money. And so they don't want to jeopardize that. And, you know, you wish you could just shake them and say, look go to a shelter. There are people out there that will help you. Like, it doesn't have to be this way.
And I think too that she was very afraid of him. My abuser was an auxiliary police officer. So I would get threatened. My stepfather was an auxiliary police officer. So I would get threatened with the gun. Don't tell, shut your mouth. Nobody's going to believe you. Your mother and I will get divorced and it's going to be your fault. You know, common things that people hear. And that all took place. Wow. So, you know, so maybe she was afraid of him to side with her a little bit, but still, I agree. Go to a shelter, get your child that safety that they need.
Yeah. Now, did you finally go back and press charges, or was he ever accountable for this?
I couldn't get him for a criminal.
Oh,
so I couldn't get him on criminal charges. And even though I took them through a 4-day jury trial. For civil, there's no, you don't have to register as a sex offender. You don't have to do jail time for a civil case. It's only monetary. And the court case was in 2015. The laws changed in 14. My case was in 2015. To this day, 2023, I have not received any kind of compensation for the judgment of the case that I won.
Did he lose his job?
He wasn't working.
Oh, he wasn't working. Okay.
No.
What's your relationship like with your mother now?
Oh, there's no relationship. There hasn't been, because she wasn't the mom to me that it should have been. So her sister, in fact, was the mom to me that helped and protect me. And, she was more of a mom, but she passed in 2000. And in fact, when I told my Aunt Judy about what had happened, she still silenced me too. And because she was afraid of him. And she says, promise me you're not going to tell anybody. And so I didn't. And when she passed, my first stop was going to the police station, and I filed a report. So I kept that promise, but as soon as she passed, I went forward.
Thank God. And I take it you have no other siblings.
I have 3 half-sisters that are my stepfather, the abuser's daughters.
Oh.
And so they're upset that I went through a trial because that's my father. How dare you do that?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, it's an idiot. It's an idiot family for sure. That's how we came up with the title. It's an idiot family. But it's just really sad. When I was a child, I did tell when I was younger. I told when I was 9 years old was the first time that I told. And I told my mother's mother. And she too said, shh, Kathy, we don't talk about that.
Wow.
So I did tell, but so it was from 9 all the way till I was 28 that I told again. And there wasn't those people there to help me. That's why speaking out in schools, yet telling the young ones, it's okay to tell, you're not going to get in trouble, and keep on talking until somebody listens and helps you.
Is there any curriculum in the schools, like to educate educators, so to speak? And
there is Child Help. They're out of Arizona, and Child Help has a program, Speak Up, Be Safe. And it's a very good curriculum. It's research-based. It's for kindergartners all the way up to 12th grade. And I believe that this should be in all schools. It's really not expensive. And I did train it at a YMCA. I trained that, and it was great. But some of these schools, they got blinders on.
Or they just don't want to touch that subject, do they?
Don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about, it's a double standard. You talk about drugs, you talk about suicide, you talk about bullying. Well, all of that could be in place, for this alcohol. But some of the schools, nope, it's like it's too much work, and it's sad. It really is sad.
And yet it has such a profound impact on a person's entire life going forward. As we've heard stories where people go into drug addiction or alcohol abuse because of all the shame and everything that's happened to them. You would think that we would want to nip that right in the beginning, early on, and not only educate the teachers and the school personnel, but also I've got to believe there's some way to serve this up to a young audience where, it's not like, oh my God, frighten them to death.
Right. No, I believe in that. They are working on, speaking of bills, but they are working at the Boston State House on bills to make it mandatory that sexual abuse is taught in the schools, and also to change the time frame when a survivor can go forward. So they are working on bills as we're speaking at the Boston State House.
Is that because they saw the length of time, the stats of how it takes someone maybe 25 years before they can even get this out? So hence, let's change the statute.
Yep, absolutely. And both men and women. So there needs to be no time frame, because the time frame is just making the perpetrator win. And they know that after the time period goes by, then there's nothing that a victim can do. Yeah, right. Well, for those of us who maybe haven't read your book, I Love You, is it I Love You That Much? I love you so much.
Yeah.
So it's I love you so much, and I don't know if you can see it, but I'm very happy to say that actually this morning I read it to 132 kids, kindergarten to third grade at St. Stanislaus School in Chicopee, and the kids loved it. I engaged them. My dog is featured in it. She paw signs the books, but it's a good educational book. I love you so much. I ask you to pay attention to your teacher, not to talk to strangers, wear a coat. And then it gives them the reasons of why they should do that so that they can't say no or why, because you're already giving them the reasons. So it's a really cute book. And, it's on Child USA, it's on Mass Kids, it's on Child Help. So it's on 3 resources for teachers and for parents. So there's no reason why this book can't be read to every single child in the school.
Oh, how fantastic. And that just sounds like a book that, kids need to hear. This is why, I love you so much. This is why you need to do that. Now,
Yeah.
the other book, My Idiot Family, I think we touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, Life with My Idiot Family. So it's a true story of survival, courage, and justice over childhood sexual abuse. My husband, Gary, and I wrote this. It took us 5 years to write this book, and it came out in 2017. This book, it was tough. 5 years to write it. Things my husband did not know about me.
Oh.
And so it was a very difficult book to write. It's an award-winning book. It's on Audible as well, that I personally spoke on Audible. And almost 800 people have listened to the book. But we called it Life with My Idiot Family because my mother and stepfather either called us idiots or ASS holes. They didn't call us by our name. So that's how we came up with the title. But the book it's really cool. My husband wrote a screenplay, and we're looking to get the book into a movie or a series.
Wow. So this book tells your story, and then it shines a light a lot on your family and how they didn't come to your support.
Yeah, it's all the way. Yeah, it's all the way from when I was a young girl, all the way through the trial. It takes you through some of the depositions that I ordered from the trial. And it goes into detail. It's a great book for therapists to look at certain signs that they could be missing. But I go in detail about what had happened to me. I don't leave much out.
Yeah. Now, one thing I forgot to ask, the other 3 half-sisters, were they abused?
I don't know, honestly. Of course, they're saying no, because that was their father, and they could be afraid. There was a niece that grew up in the home, and I 92% think that she was sexually abused by him, because most abusers, they don't stop at one.
Right.
So I do think that I was not the only one, but I don't know about the other ones. During the trial, 2 of them got up on the stand and said, no, he didn't do anything to me.
Yeah. And I love one of your quotes. It was, change your world, change your story. Did I get that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so empowering, and it's so impactful. I know what that kind of means when I hear it, but can you share what you mean by that?
Yeah. So it's just, what had happened to you in the past, it really shouldn't define your future. Don't let something past, just keep going forward, and it's not going to take, you're not going to be able to change things or change your mind overnight, but in time, it does happen,
Yeah, and that is so true. Don't let it ruin your whole life. You took it and made it power. What was the pivotal moment that you said, I'm going to open my voice and I'm going to tell this story?
Well, when I was 17, he still wanted to abuse me. And that's when I knew he wasn't my real father. And I said, and he kept asking and asking. I think I got upset, and I'm like, if you ask me one more time or you don't leave me alone, I'm going to tell. And he said, Kathy, one more time. I go, no. I used my voice and stopped it.
That is so, that takes so much courage. And I think another big message here is letting people know you've got to get this out. This is the only way, right? To be stronger, to be healthier, to have healthier relationships. keeping it in, it's not going to go away.
Yeah, and you have to talk about it. And people say counselors, and I get that. Yes, a counselor can help, but there are unfortunately some bad counselors. So I recommend find a good counselor. You know, keep on going. I know it's hard to tell your story over and over again, but find the right counselor. An example was one of the counselors I had. I walked in and she kept looking at the clock, and I'm thinking I'm bothering her. And then her advice to me was, Kathy, you need to forget about it and go on with your life. And I'm thinking, I'm paying you a $20 copay and you're telling me to shut up. I said, no. So I do have a good counselor that I talk to maybe 3-4 times a year, and it helps. And I never would have thought that a male counselor, I would have felt comfortable telling personal stuff, but I do. And he gets it. And he actually went through the trial with me. And, you know, so he really does get it. So my advice is keep on telling, find the right person, find the right people to be associated with, and don't belittle yourself, you know, because some people, well, he's good enough for now, or she's good enough for now. No, just because you were abused, it doesn't mean that you have to take the bottom of the barrel. You know, you deserve everything. You deserve that.
But what's mind-boggling is that, like, someone like yourself, the signs were there, the mom knew, you told grandma, like all these people that, you know, are going through a similar situation, and they're getting let down by the people that are supposed to be close to them, protect them, and even up until the counselor, even, you know, like, I would think that you know, at some point you get frustrated and you're just like, what's the point? Like, no one cares.
Yeah, but I just kept going. No, it's just, and I'm still on that go. You know, there's still so much to do. I mean, as soon as I was starting the trial, I found out I had a brain tumor. So it's like, you know, okay, do I do the brain tumor or do the trial? I'm like, no, I kept fighting these bills. I'm fighting for justice. And when I got justice, I called the doctor right after the trial ended, and I said, okay, I'm ready. And then I had the tumor removed out of my head.
Wow. The amazing strength you have had to deal with all of this and continue to put one foot in front of the other is really amazing. I'd love for, like, our guests, like if someone is watching this and they're 15 or 18 or, you know, and having that similar situation, like, is there a step you say, like, just stop it today or go tell someone? What can they do?
I would say to tell somebody, because you need to get it out. Keeping it all inside is not, like you said, it's not healthy for you. And just, you know, a lot of people, you have that close friend, at least confide in that close friend. If you have a teacher or a counselor or a relative, if it is happening within your home, if you have somebody, go to the police station, but keep on telling. Do not stop telling. You're going to get people. I still get people today saying, why is she still talking about that talk?
Wow.
You know, it's like there are a lot of ignorant people out there, but you know what? They don't get it. They don't understand. They don't want to understand. So go and find that help for yourself. And the sooner you do it, the better off you're going to be. I mean, I haven't stopped talking.
Yeah, but the thing is that now look at you, like the unlocking that, right? Kind of unleashed this powerful, strong woman in yourself, writing books, doing these amazing things. And, you know, not for a minute do I think that if you didn't unlock that story, you wouldn't be doing all the great things you're doing and be as strong as you are. That would just be eating you up inside, I'm sure.
It would be, yeah. You know, I mean, I remember as a young child, I would pull out my eyelashes, pull out my eyebrows, so nervous. I fainted all the time. I was bad in school. You know, I was this meek little girl. And then, like you said, where I am today, not to pat myself on the back, but yes, I need to, because I do feel as though I have helped so many people. And I've zoomed as far as Serbia. So, you know, it's just reaching out, going into the schools, going to the police department, going out universities, the hospitals, talking my talk and helping people. And that, I feel really good about that. And it does help me but it also helps other people.
And it will help them blossom into the person that they need to be. And
Absolutely.
they can kind of not get rid of that baggage entirely, right? Because it's a part of your life, it's a part of your story, it's a part of where you've come, but you can use that as a way of strength to have this life that you should have, that everybody should have, right?
And your past is always going to be there, whether you have a trauma story, whether you have a death story. Everybody has a story, but go forward and make your life, because nobody's here forever. But if you can leave a legacy behind and be healthy and happy, that's the life you want to live.
And I'm sure there's a lot of fear initially, and there might be shame and embarrassment and all of that. But I would like to think that for our audience, that's temporary, right? That might last for a certain amount of time, but then after that, you're on your way.
Yeah. And you're going to, I second guessed myself when I first started talking. It's like, should I have done that? Yes. And if you second guess, that's okay, because that's just normal. Did I do the right thing? Well, what is the right thing when it comes to trauma?
Right. Yeah.
Everybody is different, but do it for yourself.
Yeah. Do it for yourself so that you can have this prosperous life and get that off your chest. And yes, you will second guess yourself, like you said, and yes, you will go through fear and all of these things, but then you will come out on the other side.
Yeah. You really can do it. You just have to tell.
Take that first step and tell someone that you feel you can trust. And if that doesn't go right, find somebody else, but keep going is the message.
Keep going. Don't stop. Don't second guess yourself. Don't say no. I tell people to have PMA, not PMS, but I tell them to have PMA, positive mental attitude. Just keep on going.
I love that. I love the change your world, change your story, PMA. Well, Kathy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
We're just so pleased to have people like you being advocates out there, telling your story and providing strength and takeaways for people. I mean, it's just such a valuable tool for so many. So thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that concludes our podcast for today, everyone. Thank you very much. And until next time, we'll see you then.
And so what I learned through my behavior and patterns throughout my entire life is that any type of abuse, whether it's verbal, physical, sexual, any of those things, my first response is to freeze and to hide.
Your mom didn't have any clue that you were being sexually abused?
Whether she wasn't fully aware of what was happening, because there was so many things happening to her.
Right. Okay. And she was probably being brainwashed too, right?
Exactly. And a lot of times there's brainwashing involved, which is and when I talk about a pattern, what I've realized is that brainwashing can happen in any abusive situation.